I think Hollywood have been nothing short of magnificent for us, their involvement. Again, I've been involved with Hollywood throughout my career at Gold Circle because they've been agents in KZN of Gold Circle ever since I joined. Although I think at that stage, they only had the Springfield outlet. But yeah, they were always good agents. I got to know Owen. I wouldn't say he's a great friend, but I mean we certainly spar with each other.
Welcome to another edition of, welcome to the very first edition of In the Box Seat 2023. Can you believe it? Lots have happened. Christmas has come, Christmas is gone, another year, birthdays, and we're all a little older. With me is my bushy-haired friend, that cap on his head with a little bushy tuft. He looks like Tiki the Clown.
Well, thanks, you. Lovely baby, you are.
Are you well, my good friend and brother?
I'm happy. Yeah.
You're happy, very good.
For a change.
Nice to see you. We've got a very special guest. I always say our guests are very special. He's a good friend, colleague, and racing lover, Patrick Loker. He's the commercial executive of Gold Circle, and we welcome him to our very first show of the year. Patrick, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Lovely, and
Yeah.
I'll be a bit kinder to you because in the management level you're a bit higher, so I can tune him up, but I can't really tune you up.
Why not?
Are you on Remcom?
No, I'm not. So you can say whatever you want to. I'm not on him.
Let's just welcome everybody to the first podcast of the year. It's just been a couple of weeks where we haven't been with you. We've just taken a breather and done a few things, and 2023 we wish you and your family all the very best, and we continue to thank you for all your support of our podcast. The best podcast in the industry in our opinion. You happy with that? Award winning?
Well, it's the only one.
No, it's not.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay, did you go away on holiday?
No.
Okay, well you've signed my leave, so you know that I'm going. Well, you're also going. I'm going first, and then you go. We're going to Kruger, and then I come back, and you go to.
Weren't you in Mauritius?
No, that was not me.
Not.
I wish the beach down
Yeah,
the coast
beach.
looked well, but it wasn't as nice as Mauritius. You went to the coast too, Pat?
Yeah, I went down the south coast with my family. Yeah,
Okay.
first time for a while. So
Okay.
yeah, it was great.
Was it
Yeah.
clean?
Yeah, it was. It was very clean.
Okay.
It was windy. Weather wasn't the greatest. Rain Christmas Day.
So there were no
But
draws.
but no
Draws in the drink.
no problems with the water, the quality of the water. It was very lucky.
Okay, good,
yeah.
yeah. All right, well, Andrew and I, you'll see in January, February, Cape Town, Bushveld, Kruger, we'll go and have a bit of an enjoyable time there. Yep.
Okay.
Let's talk about Gold Circle. I mentioned a commercial executive of Gold Circle. That is your position. But what does that mean, Patrick?
Basically responsible for the betting, totalizer betting, and any other business opportunities where we can generate revenue. So that's kind of what I cover.
Okay, you say
Trying to make money.
you say totalizer betting.
Yeah.
Tote bets. Now,
Yeah.
track and ball, does that obviously bookmaking side? Will you oversee that as well?
On the board of Track and Ball, but I don't actually oversee it from a
Okay.
management
Okay,
perspective.
so it's the
yeah.
tote, all bets that go through our tote machines, that's
Correct.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. How many years have you been doing this at Gold Circle?
I joined Gold Circle in 2000, but I was away for 19 months, 2008, 2009. And basically I've been here all the time.
But that,
Yeah.
you were in Ireland for those 18
Yeah,
months.
I was in
What
Ireland,
were you doing
yeah,
there?
Dublin. I was actually working for a friend of mine as a consultant. So
Not chasing girls. Okay, cool.
yeah, there was a bit of that, but no, it was work, great fun. Loved the place, but I was there just at the end of their peak economic time and
Right.
at the beginning of the decline. So things got very tough, so I had to come home.
You spoke about Ireland and that owner, the Poets Syndicate or the Poets Corner, Michael Moroney. I'm sure you've seen his name in the book. Maybe
Yeah.
Patrick hasn't, or you have. He sent us a message. He's obviously from Ireland. He said, anytime you want to come to Ireland, you and your wife and your family, you've got accommodation, you've got everything we've got here, just get yourselves here. But the problem is the flights, it's bad enough to get to Summerfeld and Pinetown, never mind to Ireland.
Yeah.
But okay,
Yeah.
and I can only imagine Ireland with the pubs all along this? Is it like that? Traditional
It's just,
pubs along this
it is a
roadside?
wonderful place. It really is. I mean, I could go on forever about the experience there, the time there.
And the people.
Wonderful people.
Okay.
Absolutely wonderful people. Just
It's Guinness and horses.
Guinness and horses. Oh, well,
probably Guinness, horses, rugby. No, they're very separate. So you either support rugby or football, as they call soccer, or Gaelic sports. You find very few people that will.
do support both.
Yeah,
okay.
so they found me a bit of an abnormality because I went to rugby games, went to soccer games, went to watch their Gaelic games.
It's interesting.
But they bum it at football.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, no, soccer they're not the
They're
greatest.
good at rugby.
Yeah.
Do you know the interesting
No, rugby
thing?
they're very good. Yeah.
The interesting thing you talk about Ireland, I've never travelled overseas, but that's still on my bucket list. But you talk about Ireland. Our kids have just coming back. They're travelling back now from Norway. And we were chatting to Dermot O'Connell last night from Hollywood, because he's just come back from Oslo. And the children were saying to us, obviously you talk on Skype and all the rest of it, that you cannot believe the different culture and how they would go up to the elevator, to the escalator in the shopping mall, and obviously the kids are 16 and 13. They would say to them, an elder person, "Carry on," they were like, "What are you talking about? Get on the lift thing and go." They're very grumpy. They're very to the point.
Well, you'd also be grumpy if it was being dark for 9 months.
Minus 19. Yeah. So interesting. I'm not saying anything bad against the people of Norway, but they were saying they're not very friendly. They're very abrupt and to the
same.
point.
I was in Australia and in the bank trying to exchange some money, and there was a girl with a baby trying to get through the swing door. So I ran there. I helped her out. She said, "You're not local, are you?"
Yeah, I think they're just not used to a lot of our behaviours that we kind of take.
As I say, nothing against Norway. They're actually going to go and move there. The kids, they're going to go live in a beautiful place. But the people of Norway seem to be a little bit more to the point. You're saying the people of Ireland are
they're far more friendlier, far more helpful.
Okay.
They don't kind of tend to socialise too much at home. So you'll be able to meet the guys in the pub and have a couple of drinks. But home's kind of sanctuary for them. That's where they're a little bit different to us, but generally I must say I cannot stop raving about the Irish experience. It was just terrific.
Patrick, how did you hear about the racing industry? Where did you go to school? Where did you study? And what was your first job? And was it always a racing interest or gambling interest?
Not about the journey. Not. So I went to school in Maritzburg, Pelham Primary School, Maritzburg College, High School.
You happy?
Why not?
Oh, because you're judgmental of school you go to.
So I grew up in Maritzburg. Also a wonderful experience. Met some great people, a couple of good friends that we've stayed in contact with, and also through the Old Boys Association still keep in contact with a lot of guys.
The College Old Boys Association strong.
It's strong. Yeah, we just had last year we had our 125th anniversary. So that's good. Nice to see the school kind of maintain its levels and stuff. I did some studies through UNISA. I went to Johannesburg after Maritzburg. I worked for SAA at the time. Started off as a reservations clerk, moved into computer programming, project management. Then, don't ask the year.
You didn't get your fingers in the till, did you?
No. There wasn't that much opportunity in what I did in programming. Anyway, so I then went from SAA to First National Bank. Shortly after it became First National Bank, because as you know, it was Barclays, they disinvested. But on the computer side, and the reason for that was that FNB put in new computer systems, they centralized all their systems, and they used exactly the same computers as SAA had.
Okay.
So they just poached a whole group of us, probably about 8 of us that moved from SAA. And in those days also we used to get really good travel perks, but lousy salaries.
Okay.
So, it's hard to go to Checkers or wherever and say, I'll pay with ticket to 10% ticket to Mauritius. So they don't kind of buy that. So anyway, then to FNB, and then I got moved by FNB back down to Durban, back to Natal, and then from FNB I went to a bank that lasted a couple of years, New Republic Bank. That was a very good experience, but also a very bad experience. So it went into curatorship. It was at the time when quite a few smaller banks all got all folded and stuff like that. And then during that time, I'd wanted to get involved in call centers and stuff. I'd done a lot of research. I had very good contacts at Dimension Data, and they put in a new system here at Gold Circle. So Gold Circle wanted somebody that understood that setup. They put the system in for telephone betting at the end of 2000, and they consolidated as well. So yeah, I got involved. That's how I started. I'd been to probably 5 race meetings before that. Although, for what it's worth, the horse In Full Flight, which was owned by, I think, Ferguson,
yeah.
their farm was up at the top of Polly Shorts, and I lived in Cleveland, which was right next door. So we used to, as part of rugby training and stuff, go for runs, and we used to run through the fields down Polly Shorts and back. Anyway, so I actually saw In Full Flight close up, and then next thing he won the July.
Where is that? You talk about at the top of Polly Shorts, and I know.
It was Hilton Storm.
Yeah, but I'm saying in relation to, if you look at the setup there now today, where the Charlotte shopping centre is, was it sort of in that area where that spa is, or across the road?
It's past where the spa is. There used to be a drive-in that was our kind of teenage hangout spot. Yeah. The drive-in where the shopping centre, the bigger shopping centre is now. Then there's a smaller one coming towards Durban. And then just where the hill actually goes down, the Ferguson's farm was on the left-hand side. I don't know, I've got no idea what's there now.
Nursery.
Oh. That's right, yeah, okay, so that's where
Bloomingdale's.
Yeah.
So,
and then I came here and was always involved on that kind of betting side. Initially, as you know, we were split Western Cape ourselves, so we ran kind of 2 operations. Then I obviously oversaw both. Got the opportunity to go to Ireland, went there, and then came back, fortunately at the right time, I think, for me. And then I was responsible for all of the betting.
Okay, well, a lovely journey, fantastic. And what we're going to talk about during this podcast is about some exciting new bet types, card, call, and of course the soccer betting, which is a score 10 and score 6. Dog racing, we're going to talk about horse racing, we'll talk about all those betting types and exciting new bets just now. But what I want to ask you about your job, which you've explained to us what you do, challenges. There must be challenges. In any job there's challenges. We'll sit here all day if we talk about challenges. Yeah. 1 or 2 main challenges and how you deal with those challenges.
I think the biggest challenge is the declining totalisator turnover countrywide. It's not just affecting it. In fact, it's a bit of a worldwide phenomenon. There obviously are a couple of racing jurisdictions where the totalisator is dominant. So, you've got to kind of exclude those. And then particularly when you look at Hong Kong, they have everything in their favour. They have legislation in their favour. They're the only operator, so they offer lottery, fixed odds, totalisator. They do the whole lot. Sure. So you can't really go wrong if that's on your side. Australia, they take their betting very seriously, as you know, but they even have a cabinet minister of racing. So, racing has a very high profile there. As far as I know, they still have their challenges. Singapore does. But anyway, getting back to us. So, we have tote betting has declined. It has declined since, I can refer to my figures here, from about 2018. That was kind of our peak turnover time. There's a lot of factors. We've clearly COVID and its effect not just on racing, on the economy, on everything else. KZN also having the riots, having the floods over the last 2 years. All of those things have been thrown into the pot that make the challenge that much more difficult. We've had to constantly rationalize, constantly try and reinvent what we can do, because I think what a lot of people don't understand is that our horse racing and soccer betting is controlled by was Pumalila, now for racing. So we commingle all of those bets into their system. So only whatever their rules are, whatever policies, whatever bets they offer, that's what we can do. So we can't have, for instance, coupling on the pick 6 as an example. That would have to be set by them, and then we could offer that. So those are the kind of restraints that we do have. A lot of people are very critical of totalized outlets. Obviously, in this province, we look after the entire network. We look after the TabGold website. We look after the telephone bidding operation. All of those things, I think, have been improved over the last couple of years. There are still, no doubt, some outlets that some people would go to and say, "Oh, I never want to come back here again." However, I go to bars, and there's a couple of bars that I've walked into and said, "I'm never going to go back there again." It doesn't stop me having a beer at another bar.
Another bar, yeah.
You know, and also what you got to understand is that some of those serve a specific clientele.
Yes.
It's the same as restaurants. It's the same as food outlets. So, you know, that's part of the reality. But I would say that the general decline, looking after what we have, trying to improve it, trying to make it better, with tough economic times, that makes that challenge just that much more difficult.
Yeah. You know, Andrew, we talk about we've got to be cautious of, you know, there's always competition and different forms of betting and gambling, etc. But you like to have the occasional bet. I gamble, and you have a little afflicted bet here and there. But what I'm saying to you is that, for me, if I get a bad service or I get a bad something, you know, I'm not going to go. We're scared of losing the punter to go to, for argument's sake, the casino or the lotto or whatever it may be. For me, I'm a gambler. I'm a horse gambler. I don't, you know, no matter what happens, if I get a bad, as you say, it doesn't stop you from having a beer. It may stop you from having a beer at that particular bar. Because if you say to me, "Well, I've got 500 rand. You can't gamble on the horses. You must go down to the casino." I'll just take the 500 rand and keep it, because it's racing is my thrill. It's my game.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is that a genuine worry that we could lose punters? I mean, that's just me an example. I know that you don't like casinos too. You prefer to gamble on a horse. Is that a genuine worry that we could lose punters to other streams of gambling? That's the question.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think, to be absolutely brutally honest, we have lost gamblers. Okay. We have lost punters for a combination of different reasons. Yes. I think poor service at specific places is no doubt a contributing factor. You know, if I go, I mean, I'll use an example. I don't fill up in certain filling stations because of the way that the guys treat me.
100%. Yeah.
You know, so I don't use certain brands because of their environmental issues, but that's just a personal choice. But I have certainly chosen places based on service. But like you say, I still eat, I still drink, I still have to fill my car up with fuel. I'm just more selective about where I do it.
Yeah. I think if I do go to a tote, I go to TabGold in Maritzburg. You walk in there, it's always the same faces. There's Hazel and all his mates, and they have a ball there. Yeah. They start at 11 in the morning and they finish at 11 at night.
Well, you'll find guys here at the Track and Ball Outlet finishing post. So I don't necessarily think that that's the total, and that's why I keep saying it's not the total picture. It's a factor in the total picture. The other thing, of course, that again guys really don't know, well, maybe don't know about Gold Circle, is that we always have been of an opinion that we work with the bookmakers, with the fixed odds operators. So virtually all bookmaker shops in KZN are agents of Gold Circle, which is not the case in all of the other provinces. So in a lot of other provinces, you either go to the bookmaker or you go to the tote. So they do compare the two, which I think is a very unfair comparison, firstly, but the reality is that here you can go to a bookmaker and take a tote bet, which is kind of unusual as far as the country is concerned. Sure. I think the unfair comparison comes in, and we're going to talk about card call, so I'll bring it up again just now, is that the range of product, the range of offerings that bookmakers have is just so much more comprehensive than what we can do. We are very limited in how we offer or what bets we can offer.
Is that a government thing? Or
it's not necessarily a good government thing. So, for instance, it's very easy to offer two teams on a fixed odds bet against each other. It's very difficult to take a tote bet with two teams where you've got
Okay.
50-50 chance or a draw. So yeah, that does play a part. Also, they can offer bets on what colour dresses the Queen going to wear at so-and-so's christening.
Yeah, sure.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll get more into the challenges that we face with card call. So they just have a lot more. They have a lot more, obviously, of the casino type games, which card call we try to get onto that one. Yeah, they just have, and I'm not complaining about it. So that's the first factor, is that they have that range. The second one is that what people also don't always realize is that we also pay for the funding of the sport. And yes, there is a tax that currently we get some money back from the fixed odds, but that is really for their right to be able to bet on our product, as opposed to government giving us tax money, which unfortunately that message has kind of been lost over the last 20 odd years. So it's now seen as government funding us. It's not. It's a return through the bookmakers, because it's a lot easier for the government to collect those taxes than it is for us, giving back for their right to bet on the product. So we fund the sport. So when you've got just a fixed odds operation where you can offer betting on 1 million products, but none of those products you have to put on, it's a lot easier than being able to offer bet on lesser products, and you've got to pay for the sport. So that's kind of a big difference.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, obviously we look after the stakeholders. We don't have shareholders per se that we give dividends to, but yeah, the return goes back. The more where we are in a position to make more money, we'll up the stakes. Stakes will go up, or we'll pay a greater contribution to various different activities. But ultimately, it's stakes that we're trying to keep going. Yeah.
Patrick, maybe a silly question, but maybe not. I bumped into somebody a couple of years ago, and who was a cigarette rep, and I said, "You smoke?" Obviously, no, don't touch smoking. I said, "But you're a cigarette rep. I mean, goodness gracious, you like to have a bet?"
Yeah, I do. I'm not prolific. I kind of
choosy.
But yeah, a little bit choosy. But also, I kind of get caught up. So, at the July, for instance, normally I'm hosting, so you're more concerned about your guests and all that kind of thing, making sure that they're okay. I prefer the Gold Cup from that perspective. It's a lot more relaxed. Typically, even if you are hosting, it's not at the same level. So I'll spend a lot more there. When we used to look after the Cape, the Met was great. I used to love going to the Met and the Queen's Plate. Well, the Queen's Plate then, obviously, would be King's Plate now. Those days just kind of, you get into the whole thing. But generally, I'll have a flutter every now and then. I'll meet friends for a drink at finishing post. Sometimes guys want to go for a bunny at Hollywood Argyle. We'll go there, bunny, and have a couple of bets there. Yeah. Well, it's nice to get out, just socialise and stuff. Mountain biking is my thing. I know there's cyclists and mountain bikers.
Who's the ones that you don't like?
The cyclists.
Yeah.
When they go up Polly Shorts, I try and go as close to them as possible. Try and push them into the bush.
Andrew, you're naughty, because there's on the back of the car there should be a
so
sticker
you
that
can
says
keep 1.5 meters
Yeah,
away.
1.5 meters.
Yeah, but there's plenty of space in the dirt.
So you don't like mountain bikers.
Road bikes
No,
could
not
go there. Yeah. No, so we avoid roads. So we like riding on dirt and on sand roads and whatever. Yeah. Sugarcane fields.
Did you get to sort of go cycling once a week, or?
I try. No, that's. And then sometimes we'll go away for weekends and then ride
excellent. Okay.
2-3 days at a time. Yeah.
Patrick, Hollywood. We don't want to spend they deserve all the time in the world, but I'm saying it's just one of the points I want to touch on, because we've got a lot to discuss. But Hollywood have got behind racing in South Africa in a big way, particularly in the Cape and particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, and they just raise the bar every time, and just wonderful business partners to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hollywood have been nothing short of magnificent for us, their involvement. Again, I've been involved with Hollywood throughout my career at Gold Circle, because they've been agents in KZN of Gold Circle ever since I joined. Although I think at that stage, they only had the Springfield outlet. But yeah, they were always good agents. I got to know Owen. I wouldn't say he's a great friend, but I mean we certainly spar with each other. Basil, I spar a lot more with Basil.
Yeah.
I think they are absolutely magnificent for us. There was a time when they were viewed within the racing industry as being a kind of enemy of racing. I have to say I disagreed with that approach. In fact, I got into quite a lot of trouble from the ex-CEO of Phumelela because of my desire to actually work a lot closer with the bookmakers, that we didn't want to create this vast separation, which happened in the time of what we've known as the Teletrack Wars. I think that was back in about 2012, 2013.
Cost us a lot of money.
We talk about factors that have influenced
really
turnout.
stupid
I think I certainly do believe that has been a factor. I think I know Michelle and I always held exactly the same view. It was probably a lot more difficult for Michelle in his position to be as vocal as what I was, but certainly it created a massive divide between myself and Phumelela and their ex-CEO, because I always felt that the opportunities of working with them, us maintaining our agencies within their outlets, was the best strategy. Whether or not kind of right or wrong is hard to know, but I do think that we have been able to weather that process a lot better than what they were. Again, a lot more factors played in on Phumelela's need to go into business rescue, which I don't want to go into now, but that certainly was a major factor, in my opinion.
Yes.
In my opinion, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But the big mistake I made is when Phumelela listed at 50 cents. That would have been.
Yeah,
we had a
I think,
full
but it was when you bail, that's more important.
I know.
It's like buying Bitcoin. It's not so much about what the price
it's too late to bail in Bitcoin.
It's when you buy, and in fact, Steinhoff share is probably the same. The same thing.
Our podcast is proudly sponsored by Score 6 and Score 10, and we thank them for their continued support, and it's real part of the same stable, all part of the same family. But I don't want to talk about Score 6 and Score 10 just yet.
Okay.
There's a new bet. There it is. We walked into our CEO's office because we're in this VIP wing today. We're not at Summerfeld, as you would have noticed. We've had breakfast. We're addicted to the Summerfeld breakfast. You can judge.
So do I. I love this. How come you didn't suggest that?
We were there this morning doing interviews, and I said to Andrew, he said, well, I'll see you straight at Greyville. I said, you can't go to Greyville without stopping to get you a breakfast.
If you had suggested we do this interview at Summerfeld,
you would
had
have
breakfast, I would have been more than it. More than it.
Now, why didn't we thought you...
change next week.
I don't think the audience want to see me twice.
You can see it by the size of our tanks that we enjoy the Summerveld breakfast. But anyway, we're here in the VIP suites here at the executive suites, and I walked in to greet our CEO, and he said, well, you're talking about card call. There's a lovely prop for you. Let's talk about this new game, Card Call, and we've got these lovely shirts, Card Call, TabGold.
At least you got me one that's not like a wetsuit.
I know, I just wanted to see what you look like in a wetsuit.
But his isn't a card call one.
No, yours is a Score 6 and a Score 10, but that's fine because we're talking about Card Call and Score 6 and Score 10. But it's not a wetsuit.
Nice.
You're going to say he wants a second one now.
Yeah, that's a much nicer t-shirt.
I thought that was a card call, but be that as it may. What is card
Maybe
call?
I've got it on back to front.
Yeah, your form probably. What is card call? Tell us about it.
Card call is an attempt by us as Gold Circle to have a kind of casino type game, obviously as a totalizator bet available for our customers. Now, it's come with its own challenges, so I'll try and kind of cover off on those as quickly as I can. Fundamentally, it's taken us about 4 years to get this product in place. We have to apply for a contingency. The contingency can only be approved by the MEC. The MEC went through different departments in the time that we applied. The applications were lost. We got into a legal battle, but eventually we got approval for the bet. We then had to actually program the bet into our system. We had to do all the marketing stuff that goes around it. And then our system, because it was a new bet type, had to be approved through a laboratory known as GLI, Gaming Laboratories International. And one of the holding points on that is that the card selection is a random number generator. So a number gets generated by the computer. Every card has associated number, and whatever number the computer throws up, that's the card that gets thrown up. So ours was the first game in South Africa that had a random number generator. That had to be approved by an international laboratory based in Holland or Dutch. So it went to that laboratory. It took a long time for that to be approved, but we now hold that as an approved product, which we are looking at incorporating into another product, which we may or may not have time to discuss. So anyway, so our system changes had to be made, and because the process is we do the system changes, the GLI approve that, and then the gambling board have to come and vet the system, that in actual fact it conforms to what the laboratory results are. So it's a long, laborious process.
Sure.
And
dealing with 5 gambling boards.
And getting back to one of our overall challenges, there you can see what we have to go through. Whereas generally, if there's a new sport, let's say, a fast-growing sport now is, what's it called? Racket, I think it is, or something.
Okay,
you play sort of combination of tennis and squash in a court.
Yes.
If betting was to be offered on outcomes of that, bookmakers could offer it like at tomorrow. So you could bet, Andrew against yourself, I'll put money on you. Okay. We don't have that luxury.
Okay.
I'm not complaining, it's just
It is what it is.
Yeah, that's the landscape, that's the reality that we deal with. So it's taken a long time for it to happen. The big challenges now is obviously getting people to have a fun, because the other idea was to have a fun thing, something that was just, not all about form and all that kind of stuff. Still the tote, pick a card, pick 1 out of 52 cards, or pick the suit, pick the color, or pick just whether you want kings as the display is. So those are the 4 different pools that we have. The exact card, the card, ace through to king, the suit, and the color. So those are the 4 pools that we have, and we also have to have now draws at certain times, because we need some time for those pools to get sufficient liquidity into them to make the dividends part. Now that's still stuff that we're experimenting with, because if we wait too long, people will lose interest.
That's what I was going to say to you. In time to come, could there be more frequent draws?
Absolutely, I would love it. If the game takes off, if people are playing all the time, then we can increase the frequency. So all of that's parameter driven on our system. So if tomorrow we decided to do 30-minute intervals, we can do 30 minutes from tomorrow.
Okay.
So all of those parameters, the system's now set up that those parameters. We started off the first couple of weeks with 8 draws during the day. We actually found that the first and the last of the day weren't popular, so now we only got 6. So we can chop and change.
Okay.
We are, the bet was only first launched on about the 25th of November, somewhere around there. 28th of November.
It's still very young.
So yeah, it's still very young, but it really hasn't caught on. And part of the purpose of this discussion is hopefully people that are listening, hearing this, thinking, okay, let me try this. It's quite easy. Like, it really is simple. What card do you want? What color do you want? What?
And the machines also, because I've tried it out, so it's good fun. And the machine can also give you a what do you call it? Random.
Yes, that's right. You can just say I want a 10 rand, and it'll give you. Do its own selection. So that also comes through the same number generator, but obviously a different one to the one that selects the card.
Okay.
So if you say I want the Queen of Diamonds,
yeah, you can do that.
Do you get it? What's it? 51. The chance of you winning is 51.
No, well, the chance of you winning is 1 in 52, but the odds are determined, or the dividend is determined by how much.
The pool.
Yeah, what's in the pool, and how many people have taken the Queen of Diamonds as well. Yeah.
Maybe also what we can do is which at yesterday's race meeting we touched on it. We actually made a bit of a noise that the draw was on Gallup TV, Raheel and I were talking them through it. So there's the draw that's taking place. That's the winning card. I think maybe if we try and get that a bit more on TV.
Yes, that's one of the things I actually wanted to discuss with you off air. Is that I want your guys producers, the presenters, to actually get far more draw people's attention to. It's 10 minutes before.
Yeah,
and so and so just won, and I had this.
Yeah.
It's about a fun product. Right? So I mean, that's the whole thing about this. Is it's somewhat different, I feel, and obviously I could be wrong, but horse racing generally is about form. It's about study. It's about, and they say the more you study, the better you get. This is about just the chances of you predicting what the next card are almost remote. Have a bit of fun. See which of those four things that
I think the biggest problem is actually getting people to understand how it works.
Okay.
Because once they're familiar with how it works.
Well, let Patrick explain it a little
bit. Look,
he has, you know what I'm saying? He has.
I'm just saying that's the way to get it going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like me, I think, geez, what's this?
Yeah, but now, just before you give us not a simple version, but of how if a punter wants to go and have a bet on card call, we need to get you up. The TV department will give us these slides and get them on the TV and just pump it as much as possible. Because I enjoyed yesterday as I was watching. You're watching. You just create a bit of excitement rather than it being on the TV. You say there are 10 minutes to go. Here's the draw. The card is so and so. It's another channel that we can. But just basically, so now you walk into the tote. You want to have this bet.
Okay, so you walk into the operator and you've got a choice of those four, or you can actually take a combo ticket. Okay, combo ticket is 10 Rand. Each bet is 2 Rand. So with the combo, you get two of, I think it's the card. Okay, so you get 2 selections on the card, 1 selection on the exact card, 1 selection on the color, and 1 selection on the suit. So if you choose a combo on King of Spades, you will win if the exact card, King of Spades, comes up. If Kings comes up, you'll get that one twice. If Black comes up, you'll get that. And if the Spade, I think I covered that. So it's all 4. Okay, so it's the exact card, King, Spades, and Black.
Okay.
So any of those come. So even if the King of Clubs won, you would still win on the colour, and you'd win on the King.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think people would bet on that. I mean, I've sat in the tote and watched the blokes come to kart racing. The bloke walks in, looks at, they're about to run. He said, give me stringers, exacted, and he just ran numbers.
Just look at random numbers.
Absolutely.
A friend. I have to tell you the story. A mate of mine. Before it was finishing post, when it was still betting world at Club Tab. He had just walked in and he picked this. I know you call it a cart, but trotting race, and this horse was flying. Literally, it had 50 meters to go, and the wheel came off. Natty went ballistic. He went absolutely ballistic. And in the classic case, the wheels fell off his bed. Yeah, the horse obviously didn't get it. Yeah, the wheels. Sorry, I had to. He was so unhappy. It just randomly picked it. Was a massive dividend coming his way, and then the wheel fell.
The wheels dink and fell off. Who thinks of these bets, Pat? I mean, is there a committee, or is it obviously researched?
Yeah, look. Okay, so this is our first actual attempt at our own bet. Okay. So this is Gold Circles. We had a discussion. The CEO was involved. Dennis Weston, myself, I think Dean Moody, and we sat around 4 years ago, saying we needed something that, because at that stage was when I think, and I've got to keep remembering what the name is, but there's a lottery that comes in from overseas. I know Track and Ball offer it now. My mind's just gone blank. But anyway, it was the start of the popularity of that. And then the casino games came in. So we decided we wanted to try and see whether or not we could develop a tote product that could kind of not compete, but which would be able to sit amongst those without being disgraced. So, that was the committee, and we went away and we developed this whole concept of let's have the computer draw up a particular card, offer tote bets on the 4 different options that can be or from out of a card, and that's how it's done. Most of the the horse racing bets are kind of universal, and they've been around for a while without too many changes. A lot of the sports bets, I know there was that thing, Time Bomb, etc. Those were all Phumelela time. There's been nothing new
Time
from.
Bomb was well named.
Yeah, yeah, and look, that's the reality. Some of them fail. This one may fail. I mean, if the people don't get behind it, if people don't bet on it, we'll have to pull the plug on it.
But the thing is, it's quite a simple concept. I mean, Time Bomb.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. Yes, no, Time Bomb was. No, I must say, when it was suggested to us, because at that stage we had a very close working relationship with Phumelela. So they would say, okay, we're thinking of this. And it's like, guys, please don't do it. But we couldn't control them offering it.
Sure.
We just chose initially to participate, and then we decided, no, we're out of this. And that's kind of where score 6 and 10 lead on from that.
Well, let's talk about score 6 and 10, because now we've gone to the soccer, and it's a lovely bet.
Okay, so we are kind of compelled to bet into the sports pools that are offered by Phumelela and 4 Racing because of agreements that we have with them. And a couple of years ago, I said to the guys, why don't we try and just always have a pool on the weekend, that a 6 pool and a 10 pool that concentrates on the English Premier League games. Because the English Premier League is generally, besides the South African League, which does pick up a lot, but not so much in KZN. We must understand that. It's very, very much more popular up in Gauteng than it is here. So let's have pools that are just have those fixtures. And they were prepared to look at it. Then COVID came along. Okay, and during COVID, of course, there weren't games, so they had to scratch around for games. The Premier League, and even when the Premier League started again, there weren't always 6 fixtures on a Saturday. So that curtailed that. But as soon as they got to normal situation again, which was about 2 years ago, I re-suggested, let's go to this thing. And they said, no, that hasn't been working. So we decided, okay, well, we're going to do it. We're going to offer 2 pools on the weekends, which concentrate, the 6 being all English Premier League fixtures, and the 10 being primarily the weekend Premier League fixtures, and worst case, the next league down, which is the Championship League. Championship. The Championship. So that's the idea of those 2. We couldn't get them to agree to it. We, in the meantime, had set up another commingling partner, which is PGI, for the dog racing, which we can then get into. So we had set it up specifically because the legislation allows us as KZN to sell dog racing, but nowhere else in the country can sell dog racing, because it is specified in the Act that we can offer betting on on dog racing. So we set up commingling with PGI into Australia. So we commingle our bets into TabCorp, and we had this hub. So we spoke to PGI and said, okay, if we give you these, will you host them? Which they've done. We did that from last year. Now what we're looking for to, again, get the liquidity up in those is for them to offer those pools to the rest of the communities that commingle into themselves. 4 Racing could, if they want to, participate in the bet. So far they haven't expressed any interest. So that's the fundamental difference between score 6 and score 10, and that's why they have different names to soccer 6 and soccer 10, is that they are ours, they are our pools, Gold Circles pools, currently hosted on PGI and the Isle of Man.
Okay, geez, that's interesting.
Yeah, so the payouts should be quite
Yeah,
good.
no, there's been some terrific payouts.
Yeah.
Some terrific payouts.
Especially when Liverpool get beaten.
Yeah. Well, yeah, generally a soccer pool is going to get payout when Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal get beaten. Anyway, so yeah, but those have been good.
How has dog racing taken off? Because that's
so we've just had dog racing now on a year. So it started off very slowly. Once we got involved with being able to put on Gallop TV, we were able to actually put dog racing as a product onto Gallop TV, because under Teletrack that wasn't possible because there was no interest in showing it countrywide when only one province can bet on it. We have had quite a few customers from other provinces open accounts with us specifically to use for dog racing.
Okay.
And then we got to, in July, I think we got to about 1.6 million for the month. And since then, we've kind of been around that figure, between 1.2 to 1. Last month we did 1.5 million. So it's a decent enough product for us, but it's not good enough. Yeah, it's not shooting the lights out, and it's obviously not going to pay for too many stakes increases. So yeah, again, a nice quick product, easy to bet on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it clearly some people like it, some people don't like it.
You've spoken to a lot of punters in your career and in your life. What is it basically? What does a punter want? I'm not talking about bet type now. What does a punter want?
Well, if we knew
that's I think that's part of the problem. It's like saying, and I'm not being flippant, but what does a drinker want? Is it the fact that you get a cold beer in a cold glass? Because I love getting a beer served to me in a frosted glass.
Yeah,
okay, but I like beer. End of story. Yeah. So I'll drink beer at pubs.
Frosted glass, not frosted glass,
not
can,
frosted.
Bottle, whatever, absolutely.
I do get a bit grumpy if they serve me a Castle Light that's warm, because Castle Light, cold and warm, just have totally different tastes. But again, I don't stop drinking Castle Light. I may stop drinking at that place that served me a warm one. And I think punters are kind of the same, because some will say they want big pools. But if you had a big pool with lots of winners and you get a small dividend, that's not great. If you've got a big pool, big dividends, absolutely that's great. But generally that's only going to happen when something that's a little bit of a spook comes to win. If you've got outright favourites, you're not going to get that situation. I mean, let's think about the King's Plate on Saturday. If
5.5 million, I think, the pick six.
Yeah, but I mean, if Charles Dickens had won the main race,
different story.
That 48 rand on a tote win for
El Matano.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen with Charles Dickens. So all of those things play a part.
And the captain's ransom one, it would pay even less if the two bankers came out. Yeah.
So you've got that aspect: big pools, big payouts. Some people play the pick six just for the opportunity of winning the pick six. I've won one in my life, and I actually got out less than what I invested in. But I still can say I won a pick six. So different people, different things. But I think generally, when across a retail spectrum, when you take your bet or when you buy your product, you want to make sure that you get served well, that your service is all what it's meant to be. And as I say, it's hard to say, is it dividend that attracts people? Is it pool that attracts people? Generally, a badly supported pool is not going to attract. It's not going to attract people. That is a kind of quite a good general statement, irrespective of what dividend you're getting. I mean, right now we're paying, I think, 40 odd rand on an exact card, which is a lot better than you'd think, but not too many people are taking exact card bets. Yeah.
I've just remembered, I've made a big note here because we were chatting and we're getting old and we can't remember lots
and
of
I'm a
things.
lot older than you too. I'm a lot older.
Earlier on you spoke about outlets, and we're in the home straight. We've got just a couple of more points to chat about. It's been lovely, it's been interesting, and funnily enough, and to call a spade, I mean, we're all colleagues, we all do different responsibilities at our workplace. We were having breakfast this morning.
I see you taking your cap off.
Yeah, just because it's getting a bit hot. Is it load shedding?
Is it load shedding? Yeah, no, why is my aircon on?
Anyway, we were just saying this morning, because obviously we chat to a lot of trainers, jockeys, owners, etc., that are in racing, properly and interesting stories. And we said, well, here we got the executive of the betting. Would it be interesting? And my oh my, it's damn interesting to actually learn about it. Hey, look at that. So I'm glad that we would have had Patrick anyway because we wanted to promote these bets, but to hear the story, there's a lot that goes on behind. I mean, it's really
I think-
opened my
I
eyes.
think there's a lot of people who don't actually understand what goes on.
Logistics behind the scenes, yeah. So it's not that we
Yeah.
say we didn't want to interview you. You're our friend. Of
No.
course we wanted to, but it's so interesting. It's an interesting topic.
Yeah,
But-
one thing I have to say though is that I think it's kind of, we face the same problem as what golf courses, I would believe, have. I've never actually worked for a golf course. I've never actually been on a committee or anything like that. But we have a lot of people who always just believe they know how to solve our problems.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I guess golf as well. Golf course. You should have the hole. Yeah, you should have this bunker not in the way, whatever. And that's certainly very true of us as Gold Circle, and I think as a horse racing industry. There are more experts in horse racing, I believe, than in any other, certainly in any other industry that I've worked in. And bearing in mind, I've worked for SAA, I've worked in banking, I've worked in computer systems, I've consulted overseas. I kind of have fairly broad business knowledge, and I've set up companies, so I've been involved in that, and I've seldom had the kind of criticism or read the kind of criticism that I have since I joined Gold Circle, where any orb guy believes that he can run or do your job better than what you can. And it's amazing that we go to Woolworths and we may get a bad apple in
Our bag of
our
apples.
bag, but we don't suddenly take on the CEO of Woolworths and say, you're doing a lousy, how can you have a shop that sells one bad apple? I can do that job better than you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how to run.
How
Let me
to
tell you
grow
how
your
to
apples and how to
yeah.
serve your
Let
apples.
me tell you how to actually set up a Woolworths store and
Yeah.
have it all. If you bump somebody in the queue, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible how
But the thing
horse
is,
racing
what's
has
so
these
nasty-
massive critics who always believe that they know better. But the funny thing is, when some of them have had opportunity of actually getting involved through being board members or even doing consultancy work or whatever, suddenly your eyes get open and say, this isn't actually as easy as what I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
it's
it
like my
looks.
mate always said, all the blokes who criticise us said it's easy to stand outside the tent and piss in than stand inside the tent and piss out.
Yeah,
But I'm not using that as an excuse. So let me also
No,
just
sure,
say that
but
there's no doubt that there are constant, and in fact, you'll see it there on my board. It's something I look at every day. A relentless pursuit to always be better. Okay, I believe in that. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I always,
It's what you're saying.
But people are not
I want to do it
That's the
better.
hard part.
I want, and if there's a problem, I want to fix the problem.
Yeah.
But allow me, with my experience, my understanding, allow me to fix the problem,
Sure.
as opposed to this is how you must fix the
Yeah,
problem.
correct.
And that's what we get a lot of. People, and I'm sure you've had it with
We've
Your-
we've had
whatever.
we all the time. We've had people. He's invited people to come and do the selecting in the newspaper and in the race car. Please come in and do it, and let's have a look. We've invited punters and people out there, the public, to come and present, come and co-host with us. We'd love to have a guest on and come and do the tipping with us. Not six
what?
people we invited, 6 rejections.
Yeah.
So it's not that easy.
Yeah, and as I say, I'm actually quite. The only other thing that I compare it to is like a golf course, because I've never done anything. I've never ridden a cycle track. I've never been to hollow trails or anything like that, where as cyclists, guys, oh geez, I don't know what these guys think they're doing when they make these trails. We really need to sit down with them and
Yeah.
tell them how they need to make trails,
Yeah.
how they need to
Yeah.
but make a car. I mean, I drive a car. I've driven the same brand now for nearly 10 years. Absolutely, there are things that don't kind of sit well, or that I know Mercedes offer better, but does that make me suddenly take on the CEO of BMW and say,
This
what?
is how you should be managing,
Yeah.
manufacturing cars.
Absolutely. You don't know what you're doing. Your designers don't know what they're doing. Let me do it. Let me let me design your cars for you. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I digressed a bit.
No, that's good. I'm glad
Um,
you did, because that was an interesting.
But it's just one of the things that, for my own experience, that I always just find so very pertinent.
One of the things that the public do want, and we're all public and we're all punters and we
Yeah.
all go, is good service. And you know one
Absolutely.
thing we talk about, good
Yeah.
service. For me, what makes a good tote and a good product is the operator.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, obviously, because some
Absolutely.
punters leave it to the last minute, which is their choice. Some people take their bets early. Some people like to do the bet mark card. Some people like to dictate their bets. But for me, and we're lucky in this province, we've got a lot of good tote operators that know the product, that know the
Absolutely.
service, that know their customer. For me, that's a massive plus. Is the person you're dealing with behind the counter.
Yeah, look, I mean, and we've spent a lot of energy on trying to get those levels up. Unfortunately, and again, this is not an excuse, but we have a very small branch network and we have a very big agency network. So the agency network is actually employed by those operators. And I mean, 47% of our turnover comes from bookmaker agents. So those guys are trained by their organizations. They're not trained by us. We obviously lend as much logistical support to that training.
Yeah.
We assist in training. When we're about to launch something new, we try, and again, we may not get it 100%, but we certainly aim for 100%. We try and educate people in advance, try and explain it in advance, etc. But if you send somebody a video, or you show a video in an outlet, or you put it on TV and you say, this is how you do it, and they don't do it, it's very difficult to know which of those few hundred people have actually done it wrong. All you got to do is look at the way the general population drives. And everybody's had to get a license to drive, and yet so many mistakes get made. So yeah, mistakes are made. They not good. Be frank, they're not good. It's very hard just to prevent them, though.
Sure.
But you constantly want to do that. You want to achieve that.
Patrick, as I said, we now hit the 200-meter mark and we're going towards the finish.
Sure, I
line of
think
our
haven't I
podcast.
gone over time?
Doesn't matter. It's
You're going to edit out all the rubbish.
No, it's fantastic. But there's a couple of things I quickly want to touch on. Your family. Tell us about your family.
Okay, I've got a daughter and a son.
Okay.
My daughter's currently not married. My son is. I've got 3. Are they going to kill me now? I got three of my own grandchildren. My son has 2 children. His wife had 2 children.
Okay.
So total I've got 5. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
So I got 4 girls, 1 boy. My oldest granddaughter actually has just finished studying for being a paramedic.
Fantastic. Okay. And
So she's very pleased about that.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of people kind of say, "Ooh, hang on, you're not old enough to have a 20-something-year-old granddaughter." Well, I am.
but live here in Durban area.
No, they live in Johannesburg. That's why the down the coast.
Coast
yes,
was
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they live in
Okay. So,
Johannesburg, yeah.
and where you stay in Morningside area?
Yeah, just up the road. In fact, literally, I'm 2 minutes away. Up
Okay.
Berea Park Road,
You
next
take a
by
bus?
DHS.
Which is
It's
your
a bit of a schlep going home. Coming to work's no problem.
right going home because the traffic.
The hill.
It's up the hill.
It's up the hill. It's
it's
above
steep.
It's above Musgrave.
You get one of those electric ones in the motor. There you go.
Your favourite race meeting? Which meeting do you really enjoy?
I guess the race itself is the July, no Hollywood Bets Durban July. But I like the Gold Cup. I like from an attendance, a relaxation. The July for me is always stressful
Sure.
because I got to worry about are the systems working, what's our turnover,
Yeah, sure.
how are we doing relative to budget, to last year. I look at queues, I look at where bottleneck points are. I'm walking around. I did with my watch step count. I did 13,000 steps
Jesus,
this year. So yeah, a lot of work, a lot of walking. Yeah, and you got to host people.
Yeah, sure. You've got to check on all that. Now, just before we started the podcast, you said that, and I will pass you a compliment because you said retirement is soon, and you look nowhere near like Bushy over there. You guys don't look anywhere near retirement age, man. But
Yeah.
retirement's beckoning.
Yeah, it's beckoning. Yeah, end of August officially. I have said, look, I'd happily consult after. I actually haven't got any firm plans for
Okay.
what I'm gonna do. Consulting, buy a little business to run it. I don't know. I'm not gonna retire of the type sit on your porch
Yes,
or
yes.
even sit on your porch, ride bicycle and play golf every day.
That's
I
not
need
gonna
to do something that involves my brain. I have to keep my brain active. So that's the key thing for me. Yeah.
Gold Circle put a lot of effort into marketing. There's just 2 more points. Gold Circle put a lot of effort into marketing from their marketing department and their social media department. Do you believe that this is in some way helped increase the turnover? Are you happy with turnovers? I suppose turnovers can always be better, but are we wasting our time doing what we're doing? That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I do think that we're not. I do think that we certainly are a lot better than what a lot of others are. I think if I look back over the last 3 to 4 years, I think we've certainly ramped up significantly in that period of time, and I do believe that it's showing. If I look at what our share of the South African market has done over the last 4 years, we have, in fact, the last 2 years, we have definitely done better than what the two others operators have done, although I must say that currently the Cape Racing's efforts are certainly paying dividends from a perspective of what people are betting onto Cape meetings. I know that's aided to some extent by them having the horse population down there for November with their incentives, which is, again, good luck to them. But I certainly do think that our attention to particularly social media marketing, is paying dividends. The fact that it is in a declining market, I think it has arrested for us some of that decline. So I think the decline for us is not as big as what certainly has been for one or two of the others. Only 3. So I think it has helped us. But we still face a problem. There's no question that the product overall is very complicated. The propensity for people to get that understanding and study and understand the differences with horses, breeding, trainers, all of that stuff is becoming less and less. It's just not in a social fabric anymore. That now it's all about chance. It's about, I'm sure you know that, but the fastest growing betting thing right now is that game Aviator, which literally is an aeroplane that's going to fly away. And
don't talk to me about
that.
But
but that's it. I mean, there's
I know.
So anyway, but I think for the sport, and particularly for our limited soccer interest, yes, I do think that it's paying dividends. Yeah.
Do you know? And I know you're not big on your cell phone, etc. But this Aviator product, I was at the gym the other day, and it just, you select your amount of money, and then it's a timer, and this plane goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and you've got to know when
you've got to cash out.
The money runs, and you've got to cash out before the plane takes off. Okay, so I was in the gym the other day, and there are not many gamblers in my gym at all, but the one gentleman came to me, said to me, "Al, have you heard about this? I know you're in horses, but Aviator." I said, What are you talking about? He said he won 24,700 Rand on Aviator.
He would have won that in like a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So I said, what are you talking about? Anyway, he said, go on to your Hollywood platform, blah, blah, blah. And because that's where I think in one of the platforms where it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's in others.
I'm not sure who it is, but
I do know that Hollywood's have. Yeah, that's where I play.
I play with Hollywood and I play with TabGold. Those are our two business partners, so that's who I play with. But in fact, I've got a string of betting accounts, but be that as it may, that's where I hope my family's not watching that.
Yeah.
So we
edit
cut string of betting accounts. But the Aviator, so of course, me being inquisitive, I get home after the gym session. I thought, let's have a look. I suffer from OCD, as you know. You might not know. I suffer from OCD. So I sat for one evening trying to catch this plane right, and I just couldn't catch it. I caught it once. I wanted to snap the telephone. I was so angry. Aviator won't see me again. I have once or twice when I did get it right, won a couple of $100, and it was quite good.
So
fun.
You didn't win 24 grand?
No, nowhere near. And the one Saturday sitting at home, I didn't want to. I had a bad day punting, as most of us do. But anyway. And I thought, well, I think there was like $100 left in my account. I thought, well, do I do an EFT or should I just try this Aviator? So I tried the Aviator. That was the only occasion. The $100 went up to like 1,300. So that was fairly successful. Ever since then, I've never caught that darn plane right. And Aviator and me are not friends. But you're right. Some people catch it, and
Yeah.
a mate of mine at the gym,
But-
24 grand.
But people play it.
aviator.
People
Yeah,
play it
yeah.
prolific.
And they were also saying the spinning games, those people go for those.
I'm
as
not
well,
too
so,
sure about
yeah.
those. Yeah.
Anyway.
If I played aviator, the plane would crash and wouldn't even take off.
Oh yeah, and the name of that other product that I think I've heard is bet games. When we
Bet games.
we conceptualized card call at the time when bet games was
Bet games,
popular.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. Well, it's
I
been
knew
a-
it would come to me.
absolutely. Thank goodness it came to you within the time limits of the podcast, because you would have been sleeping and woken up at 1 o'clock this morning and be phoning us and telling us
Yeah.
it's bet games. But that's a wrap, really. It's been a nice long chat with Patrick, and a darn interesting one to hear to what he does, the challenges that we face. Brandon Bailey in Johannesburg always thanks the punter, and he's quite right at doing that. And we talk about the owners, we talk about the punters, we talk about everybody in racing, but in particular the punters, because you are our customers, you are our clients. We need you to invest in our in business. As this, as we really recognise you and we thank you. So that's a wrap, really, Andrew. It's been an interesting chat, eh? It's been an interesting chat
Yeah,
talking
we know
to
what
Patrick.
goes on, no?
Yeah, we know what goes on, and these are the reason for these
How do
shows.
we get our fingers in the till there?
There's bloody fingers in the till. You don't be silly. We don't put any fingers in any till. Only when they come to pay us out our winning
Yeah.
bets, then they can put the fingers in the till and give us our winnings.
Yeah,
what
that's
we
the
want.
way that you get it.
That's the way that you get it. Soccer, score
Win-
6, score 10. What else? How else do we get money out the till? Winning bets.
Winning bets.
There you go.
Any winning horse racing bet.
And
Take
card
it.
call.
If you got Saturday's pick 6, you'd been retiring then.
5 bars, eh? Can you imagine?
Retiring early.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm retired already.
That's a wrap.
Okay.
Have a safe week, and from Patrick Loker, Oren Linferna, and Andrew Harrison, Tawanda Taravinga, and Senzo, our new man Senzo behind the scenes. He thinks we're completely mad,
Yeah.
and you know what? He's not a bad
I think
judge.
he's just woken up now.
And he's not a bad judge. But from all of us, we wish you well. Stay safe. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you as always in the number 1 box.